Have you ever wondered what it is that makes a man truly obsessed with you? Not just casually interested, but the kind of obsession where he can't stop thinking about you, morning, noon, and night? What if I told you there are psychological triggers that can make a man obsessed with you, and no, it's not about playing games or changing who you are. If you want to be the woman who's always on his mind, then stay with me. I'm about to share 5 scientifically proven ways to make him think about you nonstop. Let's dive in. Hello, ladies. Have you ever wondered what makes a man truly obsessed with you, not just casually interested, but thinking about you from morning to night? If you want to be the woman he can't get out of his head, then stay with me, because I'm about to share 5 psychologically proven ways to make him think about you nonstop. And trust me, this isn't about playing games or changing who you are. It's about understanding how attraction works deep inside his mind. Let's dive in. The secret to making a man obsess over you isn't just about what you say or even what you do. It's about the emotional imprint you leave on him. Human beings are fundamentally wired for emotion, and memory itself is deeply tied to the intensity of our emotional experiences. That's why certain moments, conversations, and even seemingly insignificant gestures can become etched in a person's mind. So, if you want a man to think about you nonstop, you need to understand that logic alone won't get you there. It's not just about looking attractive or being a good partner. It's about the deep emotional resonance you create every time he's around you. And here's where most people get it wrong. They assume that constant validation, unwavering availability, and excessive agreement are the keys to making someone feel connected to them. But the truth is, human psychology doesn't work that way. If you want to stay on his mind, you have to create an experience of emotional contrast. In simple terms, this means instead of being one-dimensional, you offer something dynamic, something that keeps his mind engaged long after you've left the room. Think about the people who have made a lasting impact on you. Were they predictable? Did they give you the same energy, the same conversations, and the same experiences every time? Or were they the kind of people who surprised you, challenged you, and made you feel something new? The reason we remember certain people so vividly is that they introduced a range of emotions into our lives. They weren't just a source of comfort or pleasure. They made us think, made us laugh, and at times frustrated us. Yet, we kept coming back for more. This is because the human mind craves stimulation, and without a mix of emotional highs and lows, things become monotonous, and monotony is the death of attraction. So, how do you apply this to your relationships? First, you must learn to engage his emotions on multiple levels. This doesn't mean playing manipulative games. Stay tuned to learn how you can create surprising and exciting experiences that will capture the attention of the man you love. As we explored earlier, creating emotional contrast is crucial to making a lasting impression on someone. But what comes next? How do you keep his mind engaged and make him think about you constantly? The answer lies in showing the full spectrum of your personality without playing games or creating unnecessary drama. If something excites you, express it fully. If something bothers you, don't suppress it out of fear of pushing him away. Real emotional connection comes from authenticity, not from always agreeing with him. And remember, confrontation or disagreement is a natural part of any relationship. It's the spice that makes the connection deeper. Another key element to keep his mind hooked is surprise. The human brain is wired to respond to novelty. When something or someone is unpredictable in a positive way, our brains light up with curiosity. If you always respond the same way, text at the same times, or engage in conversations that feel scripted, his mind will begin to categorize you as something familiar and, over time, less intriguing. But if you introduce small, unexpected elements into your interactions, whether it's a playful challenge, a deep philosophical question, or an unusual perspective on life, You create moments that stay with him long after you've left the conversation. Then there's the element of challenge. People tend to value what they have to work for. If a man feels like he has already figured you out, like there's nothing more to discover, his mind naturally starts to disengage. But if you present yourself as someone who has layers, someone intriguing, complex, and constantly evolving, he will find himself thinking about you even when he doesn't intend to. This happens because his brain is constantly trying to solve the puzzle of who you are. As long as there's something left to uncover, he won't be able to let go. Ultimately, making a man think about you nonstop isn't about chasing him, over-texting him, or proving your worth. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally evokes emotion, who makes him feel alive, and who introduces something rare into his life, something that he can't find anywhere else. When you do this, you won't need to ask him to think about you. His mind will do that for you automatically. But here's the secret. If you really want to capture his thoughts, you need to understand something fundamental about human nature. People are drawn to what makes them feel good, not in the shallow sense of temporary pleasure, but in the deeper psychological sense of fulfillment, peace, and excitement. The human brain is wired to seek relief from stress, to gravitate towards sources of emotional stability, and to return to the people who provide a sense of energy and meaning. If you can become that kind of presence in his life, you won't have to force yourself into his thoughts. Mind will naturally return to you. However, most people misunderstand what this really means. They think that being a source of positivity means being excessively agreeable, never expressing dissatisfaction, or constantly showering the other person with validation. But let me tell you, that's not positivity, that's submission. Now that we've uncovered what makes a man think about you nonstop, let's dive deeper into how to truly balance these elements and create lasting emotional connections. Stay tuned. Building on what we discussed earlier about creating emotional contrast and being authentic, let's explore what truly makes you irresistible to a man. It all comes down to the kind of energy you bring into the room. You don't need to be excessively cheerful or agreeable. In fact, doing so can often backfire. So, how do you create that magnetic energy that keeps him thinking about you? Let's dive in. True positivity isn't about being passive or naive. It's about embodying a mindset so powerful, so resilient, that it becomes contagious. It's about being the kind of person who can elevate the energy in any room just by being there. That kind of energy is magnetic. A man's life is often filled with pressure, expectations, competition, and responsibilities. Whether he acknowledges it or not, he carries a silent weight on his shoulders. When he comes home at the end of a long day, or when he's with someone he cares about, what he seeks often, unconsciously, relief. Not relief in the sense of escape, but in the sense of rejuvenation. If every interaction he has with you makes him feel lighter, more confident, and more alive, then you become the presence he associates with well-being. His brain, whether he realizes it or not, will push him to return to you. But here's the catch. You don't need to be artificially cheerful to create this effect. In fact, trying too hard to be nice can actually have the opposite impact. Why? Because people can sense when something is forced, and inauthenticity creates discomfort rather than attraction. What truly creates this magnetic effect is emotional strength. When a woman has a deep, unshakable sense of self, when she radiates confidence because she needs approval, but because she genuinely knows her worthmen feel that, they absorb it. They're drawn to it in the same way they're drawn to adventure, success, and challenge. This is why being the source of positive energy doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations or suppressing your opinions. It means knowing how to navigate conflict without descending into negativity. Being emotionally strong means being stable in your emotions so that even when things get tense, you don't become erratic, insecure, or controlling. A woman who embodies this strength becomes a man's anchor, not by tolerating everything, but by showing that she is grounded. She knows who she is, and she doesn't allow external chaos to shake her core. This stability, this emotional depth, is what keeps a man coming back for more. And then there's playfulness. If you can inject humor, unpredictability, and lightheartedness into a man's life, he will crave your presence. This isn't about being a comedian or forcing laughter. It's about knowing when to disrupt stress with spontaneity. A simple joke at the right moment, a playful tease, an unexpected adventure, these things create dopamine surges in the brain. And once a person associates those surges with you, they will want more of it. So, if you want a man to think about you nonstop, don't try to manipulate him, don't chase him, don't center your existence around his validation. Instead, become the kind of presence that is impossible to forget. A source of energy that lifts people up, brings clarity instead of confusion, and adds meaning rather than just temporary excitement. This is how you stay in his mind by being the woman he can't forget, the one who adds real value to his life. Now that we've covered the core aspects of attraction, let's explore how to create a deeper, more meaningful connection that keeps him thinking about you even when you're not around. Stay with me as we dive deeper into the psychology of lasting love. As we've discussed earlier, men have an inherent need to feel needed and valued. Whether they acknowledge it or not, this need is deeply ingrained in them, not just by societal expectations, but by a psychological reality rooted in thousands of years of evolutionary history. A man is wired to protect, provide, solve problems, and be recognized for it. When that instinct is triggered in the right way, it creates an attachment so strong that he begins to see you as an irreplaceable part of his life. And once he believes that no one else makes him feel the way you do, he will think about you constantly. But here's where the problem lies. Modern relationships often overlook this fundamental truth. Women are encouraged to be independent, which is undoubtedly important because self-sufficiency is key to personal growth. However, they are also told that they should never make a man feel like they need him, under any circumstances. This leads to women suppressing their natural instincts to ask for help, to lean on someone, or to let a man step up. What happens then? The man, whether consciously or not, begins to feel useless. You may not even realize it, but something will feel off, something will be missing. Now, this doesn't mean you should fake helplessness. That's manipulation, and it's insulting to both you and him. The key isn't to make him think that you can't handle things on your own. It's about allowing him to step into a role where he feels like he's making a meaningful difference in your life. The truth is, when a man loves a woman, he wants to serve her in some way, not because he's weak or trying to buy her affection, but because doing so gives him meaning. It connects him to a sense of purpose. Think about it. The moments in life that bring the greatest fulfillment aren't those when everything is handed to us. The most fulfilling moments are when we conquer something, overcome a challenge, or do something that truly matters. A man needs to feel like he matters to you, too. If you never give him the opportunity to prove that, to earn his place in your life, he will never feel fully invested in you. He might like you, he might enjoy spending time with you, but he won't feel that deep, obsessive connection that keeps you in his mind, even when you're not around. So, how do you trigger this instinct in a way that feels authentic? It starts with understanding that allowing someone to help you is not a sign of weakness, it's an invitation. When you ask for his input, advice, or assistance to know out of desperation, but out of trust, you're signaling that you value his role in your life. It could be something as simple as asking him to reach something on a high shelf or something more significant, like seeking his thoughts on a tough decision. What matters is that he feels like he's contributing, that his presence truly matters. Here's the key. Once he does something for you, acknowledge it. Don't just let it pass by without recognition. This simple act of appreciation reinforces his sense of value in your life. Now that we've uncovered the importance of letting a man feel needed, let's explore how you can create the kind of bond that keeps him emotionally engaged and constantly thinking about you. Stay tuned as we dive into the next step. As we discussed earlier, creating genuine connections with a man isn't about constant validation or surface-level compliments. It's about making him feel significant, truly valued. When a man feels that his efforts are seen, when he believes that his actions have real impact, his brain begins to associate you with the fulfillment that comes from meaningful work. Once that connection is made, it's incredibly difficult to break. This is how powerful relationships are formed, not through passive attraction or superficial flattery, but through the deep, instinctual need to be significant to someone else. The moment a man realizes that he thrives when he's with you, that his life is better because of your presence, you will dominate his thoughts. Not because you forced it, but because his own psychology demands it. Here's the thing. People don't value what's always available. This isn't just a cynical observation. It's a fundamental truth about human nature. Scarcity creates value. When something is easily obtained without effort, the brain naturally assigns it less significance. This is why luxury goods are expensive, why people chase after things they can't have, and why a person who gives too much of themselves too soon often ends up feeling unappreciated. If you want a man to think about you constantly, then he has to feel your absence just as much as he enjoys your presence. He has to experience the gap you leave when you're not around. And that's only possible when you master the art of controlled distance. The mistake most people make in relationships is assuming that closeness is built by constant contact. They believe that the more they text, the more they call, the more they insert themselves into a man's life, the more he'll attach to them. But that's not how desire works. The human brain is wired to anticipate, to long for what isn't immediately accessible. Think about the last time you were waiting for something exciting, a vacation, a big event, or even just a special meal. The weight of the waiting itself intensified your desire. Why? Because the brain thrives on contrast. Without moments of separation, there's no real reunion. Now, this doesn't mean playing games or deliberately ignoring someone to manufacture distance. That kind of manipulation is transparent and often backfires. What it does mean is that you have to maintain a life that's compelling enough that you're not always immediately available. You have to stay engaged in things that are fulfilling outside of the relationship. Your passions, your friendships, your personal development. When a man sees that you're not just sitting around waiting for him, that you have a world that exists beyond him, he begins to perceive you as valuable. And value, my friend, is what makes a person unforgettable. This principle also applies to how you communicate. If every conversation is initiated by you, if every attempt at connection is pushed, as we continue, let's explore how this principle plays a vital role in shaping your emotional connection and keeping his attention even when you're not physically together. Stay tuned as we break down the key steps to mastering the art of emotional distance and its impact on relationships. As we've discussed earlier, creating a balance between presence and absence is key to making a man think about you constantly. But what truly fuels obsession is the element of unpredictability, the tension, the uncertainty, and the mystery of your next move. Let's dive deeper into why this is so important in a relationship. When a man always knows where you are, what you're doing, and how you feel about him at every moment, there's no reason for him to think about you. You've already given him certainty, which, while comforting, doesn't create the kind of obsession you're seeking. What keeps a person thinking about you is unresolved tension. It's the question of where you stand and the mystery of what you'll do next. The most intoxicating relationships are often the ones where there's an element of unpredictability. This isn't about making him insecure. It's about allowing attraction to breathe. It's about creating space where his mind has to reach for you, where he starts to wonder about your feelings, your actions, and where you might be. When you have a life that isn't centered around him, his brain naturally starts filling in the blanks. Before he even realizes it, he starts missing you. And here's the key. When you do spend time together, you make it meaningful. It's not about how often you see him, but about the depth of the experience when you do. If every interaction is rich, engaging, and filled with moments of real connection, then even a short period of absence will be felt intensely. The contrast between your presence and absence is what creates longing, and longing is what keeps a man thinking about you when you're not there. Now, ladies, these aren't just tricks. They're powerful relationship insights that can change the way men see you. The key isn't manipulation. It's about becoming the kind of woman who naturally commands a man's attention. So, tell me in the comments, which of these tips are you going to try first? Have you ever noticed these techniques working in real life? Let's start a conversation below, and before you go, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss more powerful relationship advice. Together, let's empower each other to create meaningful, lasting connections.